first of all, this is Nico. She had to be in my lap. She may get up and down here in a little bit, but I'm Nikonya Godwin Glenn, and I live here in Burke County, North Carolina. I was born and raised on the eastern part of North Carolina in Robinson County in a little town called Pembroke. And if you don't know, that is mostly Native American folks there. So I grew up with a very rich culture and heritage. And then a few years later, I moved to Virginia, and then I ended up here. And I like it here. It's very flat and dry and hot there. If you're not sure where it's at, it's about an hour from Myrtle Beach and 45 minutes from Fayetteville, which is it's Fort Bragg, Army, lots of Army folks around there. So,
well, tell me about, first of all, you saw a light phenomena of some sort. Describe, first of all, how old were you? Where were you traveling from and to when you saw it?
Well, I asked my sister about this. She was here with us a few weeks ago. And I asked her, I said, do you remember this, what happened? And she just said, I've tried to block all that time out when we were living there, but it was with my stepdad in Hoke County, where we lived for just a few years, not too long. And that particular night, we were riding, I'm not sure from where we were riding back from, but the phenomenon that you're talking about is just something that's a common occurrence there. Folks talk about it, have said about it, but we don't see it as anything mystical or mysterious. It's just called swamp gas. But my mom said that particular night to scare us that they were Haints.
And a Haint is what?
A Haint is like a ghost. She was just like, oh, those are Haints. But let me digress. We were riding, I have no clue where we were riding back from. But we were in like this little rabbit type car, we call them rabbits, Volkswagen, and it was just pitch black. And where we lived at in Hoke County, it's very swamp on all sides, farmland on all sides. So we're out in the middle of the country, and just in the trees, just as black as it could be, but in the trees, there were these two bouncing lights. And it just felt like, it seemed like they were following us. And they were just moving very erratic, just all over the place. And when we would slow down, they seemed to slow down. When we sped up, they seemed to speed up. And of course, it wigged us kids out. I was probably at that time 15, maybe going on 16 years old. And my siblings, they're just a few years younger than me. And of course, my mom, she was driving. And we were all like, what is that? Mama, what is that? She said, oh, those are Haints. They're out to get you. Blah, 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 blah. You've done something awful. But at the same time, she goes, no, they're just swamp gas. That's just swamp gas. That's what we folks here, that's just what it's nothing out of the ordinary there. It's just something that you might see. And it's really cool if you get to see it. If you get the chance to experience that. You hear a lot of folks there talk about it, but to see it, it's magical. It's a magical feeling because you've got this bright, looks like tangible ball of light that you can hold in your hand, and it seems alive, and it's bouncing in the forest, in the trees. And then it just goes away. It just went away. It did not evaporate. It did not dissipate, if that's what you call it. It just flew away really fast. So she must see a possum. We have possums that visit on the back porch. But I'm a student of medicine. I'm not crazy. I'm actually in a program, respiratory therapy program, so I got my wits about me. So I'm not. You have to be kind of smart to do that. So I'm not a loony or anything. I'm very skeptical about things. About when you hear people say, oh, it was a ghost or things like that. This was a very real thing that it feels like I can just imagine it today. I can see it and feel it today.
How large did the balls seem to be?
Well, they were far off. They were at the top of a tree, what seemed like at the top of a tree. And where we were at, there were no houses around. We were out in the middle of the country. Where we lived, it was swamp behind us, and it was never-ending fields of cotton and tobacco in front of us. And one farmhouse that was several, at least 20 acres or more on the other side of us. And my stepdad had 10 acres of land. We had 5 on both sides. So we were riding on our way home, and our house was in the middle of this. So there were no houses. It's just, here's this patch of trees, and then you go into the clearing of the farmhouse with all the agriculture. So you start reasoning in your mind, maybe it was a really bright flashlight. Maybe it was guys hunting with their dogs or something. No, this was at the tip tops of the trees. And from where we were sitting in the car, they seemed maybe this big.
Got bowling ball size.
Yes, maybe that big. And they were just as bright white as you can imagine. Just a really bright white. And it was just a bounce.
Bobbing around.
Bobbing. And we sped up. Mama said, look, they're following us. And we slowed down and sped up and slowed down. And it was just, at home, it's considered a swamp gas. It's just something, and then they went away. They were gone.
That's all there is to it.
That's all there is to it. Nothing special in the story. There's no weird sounds. No, we just took it as, wow, we got to see, as they say back home, Haints.
And that was, your mom was familiar with it, though. She'd seen them before.
She had seen, if I remember right, I really need to call her and ask her. If I remember right, she had seen them before. And you hear talk of them, growing up. But, it's not something that people really make a really big deal of there. Of course, you have the culture, and you have, everybody has, especially in small towns, you have all kinds of cultures and things that people believe in, and things that you hear about as a child. And but this was something that they kind of toss it up as it's a natural phenomenon. There's nothing magical about it. It's just something that happens around bodies of water.